Disclaimer: this story is as real as dreams. The following story is real and happened in a dream. I don't know if it means anything, it's just fun documenting dreams. The dream takes place in a video game, a really realistic one. Beforehand I watched some sort of tutorial, speedrun video on a Cowboy video game where there's this supposedly extremely hard to get achievement, where you traverse the game on the hardest difficulty and the resources are scarce. I take interest in this challenge, so I began my journey in this game. The game itself has an interesting premise where it's about a cyclical murdering loop of revenge. In the game you took part as a cowboy. As I began the journey, the speedrun YouTuber narrate over my actions, such detailed tips like, hide in this specific corner, open this barrel to check for resources, go around here, and kill this dude. The game took in a first-person camera and I can move my body freely, so it's more like a virtual game with the Apple Vision type shit. So as I play this game I am collecting as much alcohol and resources as much as possible to get through the final part, which is the hardest part. In this final part one must face a tough opponent. This opponent is the cyclical killer, which in a twist turns out I'm also a cyclical killer because of a cutscene at the beginning. To beat said opponent I must find the adequate resources such as alcohol, revolver, bullet case, bullet and sides, a tube-like thing that goes in the middle of a bullet, bolt a bit bended with the spinny thing. As I have gathered all of these components, which I sneaked past guards and general civilians, I go to my room to make a working gun with only one single bullet. But as I try to construct the bullet, I fail and fail again and again. This drives me mad, and fuck it, I go anyway without the bullet, thinking I could maybe just scare the killer off with a revolver manipulation type shit, and so I set off. As I walk through a train, yes, I was probably in a train on my way to the final part. I walk through the restroom, carriage section thing. I get a sense of anxiety and think maybe this idea won't work. So I get into one of the bathrooms to try constructing the bullet again and get the revolver working. But disaster struck when I bumped into someone and my alcohol splattered all over the floor. I only have 10% of the original stock now. I said to myself, maybe this can still work. Then I began constructing, clinging to hope. But as you can imagine, I failed. As you can imagine, I am frustrated. Frustrated at myself for not trying harder when I was in my room with a full alcohol stock. I really think I could scare off a killer with an empty revolver. What a joke. I then to put the unfinished bullet in the revolver and intend to move forward, but I realized it would be worthless, so maybe I should restart the game and the entire run. As that thought came up I became more frustrated. Blinded by rage I stupidly pull the trigger to prove to myself there is still hope. But to no avail. Then I realized if it did work I wasted a bullet. I began going crazy, aiming down the iron sight and marveling its beauty as I pull the trigger over and over. Then I muttered to myself, don't worry, this isn't real, this is just a video game. For the first time, I called a dream not real. This isn't real, this isn't real, I kept saying. You might say, oh, you're saying not real to the game, bro. Simply no. What you and I, at the time, failed to realize was there wasn't any quit button. Or any button resembling a video game or looking at a screen. So I was in fact in denial of a whole reality. And in the process I knew it was fake. Back to story. As I kept saying, this is not real, then it happened. The title of the game shows up. It looks like I was staring at a title. This time I knew it wasn't real. But then it goes black. Sadness filled my tiny little brain. I began to regret maybe I should have just moved forward against all odds, but no. I gave up. I cried, maybe this is the end of the game. Pure darkness for eternity. As the terror set in I woke up in the real world.